Okay. Podcast episode something. Featuring Lauren today
Hi.
in person, another in person podcast.
I was in
And
person already.
yes, another in
Oh.
person podcast. And again, no preparation, but a few questions I could ask. Oh, thanks for my guest for coming, first of all. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast so you can see new episodes every Saturday at 7 p.m., maybe 8 p.m. I don't know, or Saturdays. So, to kick things off, right? This is Lauren. Lauren is my wife. And you might have seen her before in a previous episode talking about all kind of things, and she says that she doesn't like to hear her voice on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're just
So I'll
gonna,
try not to talk as much.
you have to talk this podcast about you talking. Okay. So the topics, I have a few topics to ask, and the podcast probably going to be short. The first thing I want to start off with is just general what you think about prices of stuff in Canada, because that's something that some people might not really think about so much. And when they come here, even as tourists, to realize things more expensive than they initially thought.
Yeah.
So what do you think about prices?
So it's expensive compared to, and this is for mainly food stuff. So I would say like groceries,
Mm-hmm.
like fast food. Um, if you have to go to a restaurant or something comparable to Trinidad, it's a lot more expensive, I would say.
Well, we could compare direct things, right? So like we normally buy a 5 pack of chicken breasts. So you get 5 chicken breasts for it range from $15 to $20 usually, but it could go up to like $30 sometimes, maybe more. If it goes up beyond 20 something dollars, we don't buy it. But that's price range for chicken breast. And what else? We have something else that like fast food.
Yeah.
Fast food might cost on average, including tax, about 15 to like $20 a person.
Yeah.
As fast food. And restaurant could cost a little bit more than that. I could go very high.
Say like at least like $30 with if you buy like a drink or something for
Yeah,
one person.
yeah, but then on top of that, you have to pay tip
Yeah.
when you buy in restaurants. So the price is even higher than that. So usually, if you go to a restaurant for two people, it's about at least $100. If you're gonna fancy a restaurant, it's more than $100 and 100 Canadian. So easily it become plenty. And then over the month, if you do that all the time, it's plenty of money going into food and just some regular expenses. So it's surprising because I had budgeted when I was coming here, like expected I would make so much money and then be able to have so much to spend, and then you realize that no, it's actually much more expensive than you think it was.
And the thing is, the prices just fluctuate too, right? Like the chicken breast, one week it'll be $10, next week is $20.
I think it's like supply and demand or something
Yeah.
like that.
So it's like you can't really gauge how much you'll be spending in a month.
Yeah.
It just depends on what the prices are.
Well, some
when you
supermarkets
buy.
price gouge too, right? The more I don't want to say elite, but like high class supermarkets, they charge more for the same products.
Yeah.
So you could do a comparison and see that, and that's a kind of controversy that they have right now because they're marking up things and making record profits because of that. Yeah, you're gonna say something.
So I would say like fast food is a big thing. I didn't expect how expensive it will be here, because like back in Trinidad you could get KFC like a meal for like $20, and here like a meal for one person is probably like $15 Canadian.
Well, you could get specials in some things. So like some days have specials.
Right, but that's certain days. But in Trinidad, it's like
Yeah.
every day you could get a real deal or a super meal or something.
They're changing it all the
Yeah,
time.
well,
But
yeah,
KFC is a special case in Trinidad because KFC prices tend to go up, but very slowly compared to everything
not
else.
just KFC though. Like even I know
Compared
like
to others.
doubles.
How much for doubles in Trinidad? Like $7 or something now?
I think it's like $6 or $5 or $6. I don't know, but still, we pay $3.25 for doubles here.
Right, so it's plenty more.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean
$20
that's like a
basically.
specialty thing, right? So I don't expect it to be cheaper than that, but like fast food.
Yeah.
And the thing is here, there's like I accustomed going to the States and stuff, and you have like a dollar menu that you could buy from if you're just
Well-
feeling for something cheap.
Well, yeah, but I think you're living in 20 years in the past when
No,
dollar menu
it's
was
still
was
there.
a thing.
It still have dollar menus
Where?
in the US.
You buy something for $1?
Well, it doesn't be exactly $1, but
Maybe
it's
$2.
like $1 and something, but still
We can for $1 on something.
like a sandwich.
Wait,
McDonald's and stuff.
McDonald's have a sandwich for $1 and
They
something.
used to.
Yeah,
and-
used to.
They probably still do. I don't buy McDonald's.
Well, McDonald's expensive here.
Yes.
I know that for sure.
Yeah, we don't buy McDonald's here.
And
'cause
McDonald's is small.
It's super small and the price is ridiculous.
I mean, Burger King could be a sponsor for us. Burger King over the clown.
Yeah.
And on top of that regular price that already high, what we pay in Ontario is 13% on top of that, right? That's the tax.
Yeah.
Different provinces they have a different amount that they pay. Some have less. I think Alberta one is probably the lowest. And in addition to that, you have income tax, and income tax is plenty.
Oh, yeah.
So you could say you're gonna set a salary, and you quote the salary by the year here. So let's say the year you say you're getting $50,000 or $60,000, you're not taking home close to that. Like taxes, almost half sometimes.
Yeah, maybe half.
Not quite half, but
like a little more than half,
you
maybe.
take more than half.
A little more than half that you'll get to take home.
Yeah, you get to take home more than half. And then you have plenty of expenses on top of that, and like
Yeah.
places rent going up and thing too.
Yeah, so you're being taxed on everything that you buy, then you're being taxed on your salary. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
same as the same.
So it's tax on tax, right? It's
Same everywhere, right? But the tax is a lot more here.
yeah, the cost of living is high.
Yeah.
And another thing that started happening, I guess it was always a thing, but it started becoming a problem more recently, is tipping.
Mm-hmm.
Like tipping in places. Now, if you go to a restaurant, especially, that wasn't always standard in Western society, at least, that you would tip something. And when I was growing up in Trinidad, I never went to fancy restaurants and things, right? So we didn't have to tip. I didn't know what tipping was until like after a while, when I got older and I had to go to restaurants, and like it was standard to tip.
Here's the restaurant with.
Let's say that. But anyway, I had a tip, right? But even so, it was like maybe 10% tipping. Some people would pay more, right? And then you pay with cash and you can do whatever, and kind of easier in some ways. And then now you come here, and the lowest thing that they put in some places 18% tip. Some places put 15, which I don't mind.
And you notice too that the tip is on the tax, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they're supposed to do that, because they put the total including the
in
tax,
tax.
and they put a tip on top of that. It's supposed to be a tip
So
on top of
you
the.
paying your tax, and then you're tipping on top of the tax, but you're supposed to really tip on what the total of your bill was with that you actually get service for, not your tax.
Yeah. So you end up paying plenty more in tips, and these servers kind of live off the tips, but in Ontario, they changed the way that they were paid. So servers don't get paid less than minimum wage; you get paid at least minimum wage. And then we still tip on top of that. So they would make most of their money from tips. But then it's not balanced still, because servers get it, but what about other jobs? You know, everybody does something and they don't get rewarded for it, they don't get tipped for it. Now you have like Uber drivers they only pick up deliveries if they get a tip. And the bigger the tip, that's when they'll pick up the order. So now they're demanding that they be tipped in order to conduct their job, but nobody would blame the employer for
Yeah.
not paying the worker a fair wage, right? So
Yeah.
it's not supposed to fall on the person to
To tip.
to
Because
tip
we
on because they're paying a salary.
basically, we's the employer, we pay in the salary too, right?
Yeah. So, and now they start putting things where you have a kiosk and the kiosk asking you to tip, and you go into like fast food takeout places. Subway has, I think, for tips and
Yeah.
like
I
different
see
fast
that.
food
I see
places.
this video where this woman record herself doing a self checkout in a grocery, and it asked her to tip, and she's like, "Who am I tipping, myself?" Because she went get her own grocery, come by the self checkout, cash in her own grocery, and then the machine still asking for a tip.
Yeah, at least ours doesn't ask for tip, but it does ask for donations.
Yeah.
And I don't put any because how the donations work is that they take that money and then they donate it, but they take it as a tax break because as a financial donation. So they're using your money for a tax break. So yeah, it's
I mean,
expensive.
we're not complaining. We enjoying the place.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a good place
I mean-
to live. I mean, you have no crime. It have pros and cons,
No
but
crime. No crime.
I mean, like compared to Trinidad,
Yeah.
no violent.
Well, we live in a good area too
Very
because
violent
we don't see those things, right? And we generally don't go out in places or on times when it might be more dangerous. So
No,
Yeah,
I do.
Huh?
On the subway.
oh yeah, subway dangerous apparently. So is anything cheaper in Canada here that you could get here compared to other places? Some clothes kind of cheap. Like you get clothes for $5 and stuff if it's on sale.
Yeah, but it's not like things that I would normally wear. Like I like nice clothes. And here the style is very basic. Like no patterns. People don't wear patterns. People don't wear colors. They'll just stick to very neutral tones. So everything that you would see in the stores would be the same thing. And because of that, I wouldn't pay some of the prices that they have those things for. I wouldn't pay that for a basic looking thing. And so I wouldn't say that it's technically cheap, because I'm sure if you see like the nice clothes, that it will be expensive, like clothes that I would normally gravitate towards.
Maybe.
Because you don't see it. It's like if you go probably to like Nordstrom or like those
No, because really
fancier
big stores
stores, yeah.
probably have like boutique stores that will have those things.
Right, and boutique stores would be expensive.
Depends.
It is not like a big chain store, so they would
No, they have
sell
small boutique
more.
stores in Trinidad too that would sell cheaper things. It like depends on where you go. So you might get cheap stuff here
I
too.
don't
Depends on
think
where you go.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like clothes is not really something I would say cheaper. Food not cheaper. What else? Hair, nails, like those things definitely not cheap. Like just
Okay, so-
yesterday I paid $70 just to do a pedicure on my toes, and
Well,
in Trinidad I would pay like $180
you know what
for the
might
same
be
thing.
cheaper if you import stuff. So like Trinidad, they have to pay to ship stuff, and then have to pay some fees when they collect it. So in that case, maybe. But then I'm thinking we have the 13% tax, right? So maybe the 13% is markup is equal to that, or maybe more. So probably everything is just so cheaper. Okay, so we talk about all the expenses.
I think utilities might be
to pay.
cheaper.
utilities, maybe.
Yes.
Because
I
we
think
don't
that's
pay
the
that much, but some people do pay a lot.
only thing I would say that might be cheaper than Trinidad, which is strange because a lot of the utilities in Trinidad subsidized, but yet we
No,
still.
I think it depends on the household because you come from a household that used to use plenty utilities, and I come from one that didn't use as much. So our bill was low, your bill was high, and here where we live, our bill is low, but it's because we consume a little bit. We don't use much.
Yeah, but you can't compare where you used to live because you didn't have AC and stuff and a dryer and things that would usually take electricity. Now we have those things, so the consumption of it, I would say, is not. Yes, we don't use it as much, but it's not expensive for what we do use. Because we wash clothes like almost every 2 days, 3 days. Wash and dry.
Yeah. Anyway, it is a possibility that it could be, but I know that people say that some of them their electricity bill is relatively high. So that's a dependent thing, but I do think it's cheaper here because we have hydroelectric power and we have nuclear power in Ontario. So energy should be cheap, and Canada has, I guess, oil and gas reserves too. So last thing I want to get at is that we talk about all the expenses, but in terms of how people make money besides work, investments. So, and I know that you work with things like GICs, so you could explain what a GIC is.
A GIC is a guaranteed investment certificate. So it's things like term deposits. Here we have something called an RRSP, which is like a retirement savings plan. So it's considered a GIC, but it's a registered product where you actually have to register it through the government and stuff. So it's recorded under your SIN, so that when you retire, that's the money that you get. So it's kind of like your pension, like the equivalent of pension plan in Trinidad. So yeah, where I work, we do both non-registered and registered. So non-registered is basically a term deposit. So just like how the banks in Trinidad would have, like and I know like older people in Trinidad call it a fixed deposit. So it's a fixed rate term deposit. So you have the same rate throughout a year, 2 years, depending on however long you want it, and the rate doesn't fluctuate. So it's a guaranteed way to get back exactly what you put in plus some interest on top of it. Now, the only difference is here, whatever interest you earn on it, you get taxed on that too. I don't think in Trinidad you have to pay taxes on your fixed deposits.
I wouldn't know, I never had any.
I don't think.
But anyway, what a GIC is a certificate that you put money into, and it'll be fixed for a certain term. So like a few months, let's say a year, and they might guarantee you that you'll get 5% on your investment. So if you invest $10,000, at the end of that 1 year period, you'll get paid how much ever you contribute, plus your 5% interest on that. And then 5% interest will count as income, so you get taxed part of it, but you still make some money from investing your money. So that's how the GIC works, and that's one of the vehicles that people use to invest in Canada.
It's a more like safe, like people who don't like to take too much risks and go into the stock market and forex and all of those things. It's a safer way. It's my kind of way because I don't like to take risk. I don't want to lose none of my money.
So
I'm
it's
working too hard to make my money. I don't want to lose it.
and it's covered with insurance.
Yeah. So up to 100,000, it's covered through this body called CDIC. And so if you invest $100,000, if anything happens to the organization it's invested with, you would get back all of your money. So yeah, I think it's a good way to invest. That's why a lot of older people choose to do that rather than young people. I guess young people want a faster way to make more money.
The advice is you take more risk when you're young.
But yeah,
I know
that's
stocks, you mentioned stocks. Stocks is something that a lot of people are into stocks now. And I'm surprised. Like, I was in the gym and it had these young guys. I couldn't tell their age, right? But they looked like maybe teens or 20s. But it also had a child with them. My child was definitely like a teenager, maybe like somewhere between 12 to 16 years. And he talking to them about stocks and wanting to buy this and having a margin account and all these things. And I was wondering how this child know about these things. I didn't know what stocks and when I was that age. But everybody know about it now.
Yeah.
And when you invested from young, because if you invest from young and you do the right way, you could make a lot of money over time because how the stock market works. If you do the right thing, and you have your money invested for a long time, you could gain money. It usually works out, but in the shorter term, it's high risk. You could lose a lot of money, especially if you need the money and you have to sell and you need to pull out your money to use, and it could be risky. But the option is there, which is good because I know Trinidad has a stock exchange too, but it's limited, right? And here you can invest in Canadian, what do you call it, securities and the US too.
Yeah.
Maybe international too. Well, we could trade directly in the US stock exchange and Toronto stock exchange. Do you have any closing remarks? That was all I wanted to talk about. And I sick, right? So I sounded real boring. I realized when we talking, we just sounding like real like blah, 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 blah. Nobody want to listen to this. We just real boring. We have no life. And
I know, but it's Friday and I went into the office today.
yeah, we're supposed to be a little bit more upbeat. We just real boring. Nobody watch this. I'm just gonna upload this so that I don't miss my upload date. I don't mean making jokes.
Yeah, but you gotta and choose one of the most boring topics like food. The prices
it
of
could
food.
actually be an interesting topic
Like how?
to talk about the time when somebody do this in a restaurant and get real bad service and their demand.
We can't call names.
Oh yeah, so I'll tell a story, but we won't call the names, right?
Which one though? It had so much.
Yeah, we get some bad. I mean, generally we have good experiences, right? But here we had a few bad experiences. And one time, a person in our party didn't put a tip because they wanted to put cash as a tip, and so
I was thinking
so they the server came back and started to ask her like why you didn't tip, because we have to pay people in the back for tips, and and that I thought was strange because, and the place was good, it's a good place, but
so it's one of our go-to places, like
okay, that's not saying anything more about the place.
I know, and that's all I'm saying. And we always had a good experience, so it was strange that like we never experienced that before, like somebody asking for a tip. So
no, but the person was going to give a tip and they did give a tip afterwards. But it's just that you can't chase down a customer for a tip. You paid for the food.
And the thing is, other people on the table tipped. So it's not like not like they didn't get any tip at all.
Yeah, they got a tip for the table.
Like we split the bill and then everybody else tipped, right? But the person was going to tip as well, but they just wanted to tip in cash.
Yeah, so that was unusual. So I was like, that's like the stories of what I like.
What about the next one?
The racist one?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to have no tipping.
I know, but there's a food related, restaurant related experience.
Yeah, I wouldn't go there, but I don't think I had the energy to tell that story right now. I didn't really think about it in a while.
So okay, so I could tell it. We made a reservation. I can't remember what was the occasion, but we made a reservation for this place. I'll just say the place is downtown. Like that's it. Like we can't call any names or anything, right? And in the reservation, we specifically said that we wanted a table inside because at that time I think it was cold, so we didn't want to sit outside or anything. And I think it was for our anniversary last year, maybe, yeah. And when we got to the place, we had a reservation for 7 o'clock. We got there like around 6:50 or so. We went up, told them we're here, and they told us, okay, wait, we need to hold on, right? So we were expecting, okay, well, maybe a 10-minute wait until our table or something is ready, because we did make the reservation for 7 o'clock. 7:15 come, gone, nobody coming to us or telling us anything, and people who came after us who didn't even have a reservation, they just come in, got seated before we did. So at that point, Shaz was like, something not right here, and if anybody knows Shaz, he will quarrel for certain things, right? So he woke up, tell them, and told them exactly that, like, people are coming after us and they're getting seated, and like what is really going on. At that point, the person at the front didn't even look him in his face. Like she just like was looking down to avoid eye contact, and all of a sudden our seat was ready. When we following the girl, well, the person who was going to seat us, and we start walking towards the outside of the restaurant, the patio area. I mean, like, but we made a reservation for inside, and we tell the person that, and they were like, if we need to get a seat inside, we have to wait again.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, no, like, we'll just sit out. Like, we already waiting almost half an hour already for this table. And when we got outside, I just looked around, and I mentioned it to you, and I was like, everybody here outside is brown or like some other.
Just a person of people of color outside.
Yeah. Because it had like Asian persons as well, right? It was like non what your Caucasian.
Yeah, so I went back inside to see if that was intentional, and they had space. They had seating space
Yes,
inside.
they did have space inside.
Everybody inside, it didn't have any people of color that I saw inside, so they put everybody in the patio. That's a real strange thing for them to do. It seemed very intentional, but I doubt they will do something like that in Toronto. Toronto is such a diverse place that you would do something like that. But anyway, at the end of it, the experience was not good. The server was good because we told him about it and he apologized, but he can't apologize on behalf of the way we were treated, right?
Yeah, he ended up giving us like a round of drinks free or something. But I mean, that can't really. You already saw the entire experience, and we're never gonna go back there. But yeah, I mean, that's all he could really do. And then you said that so you left the Google review,
Mm-hmm.
and then they sent
I
a man.
It was like a diversity person or something, and
Yeah.
the man who had like, I guess like a South Asian name, and he responded to it and said to make contact, and we never made contact with him. Because they're just trying to make themselves look good, but it's just a bad experience. But I mean, it was only that one time, and we have so many options in Toronto, we just wouldn't go back there. But it was surprising, but still, who cares? You know, it's not like they're racist in Toronto and they will do things.
I don't think
I never really feel.
I never feel like that, but other than that one time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, so if we sort of saying how things are expensive, you're paying your money, things are already
Yeah.
expensive, and we still tip, right?
Yeah.
Then you expect good things for that.
Because the thing is, it's not the server's fault that the reservations people didn't do their job properly. Like if if it was a reservation girl or whoever it was that was at the front that was serving us, it would have been a different story. But we can't take out our frustration on a server and not tip him because of
he's
what
not the one
somebody
getting,
else do.
he's not the one getting tip alone. That tip will be shared with everybody, right? But
True,
but it doesn't matter. Like I just wanted to pay and do the tip was for the service was good. So
and the thing is, you request, you like in the reservation, you request a certain thing, and then you didn't get what you wanted. But yet,
yeah.
I think at that point we should just walk out. But I think we were hungry because we didn't eat or anything, and
no, I wanted to go to the place too because it's a place we would see, while we are around in the area. But it's a good experience, good to know what it was like, and so you don't have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we could wrap up this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's a very boring episode because I'm feeling not so well and my voice just real boring and I can't be excited so much.
And I'm not the most exciting person on a Friday night. I just want to watch some TV.
Okay, so now
I'm going to sleep.
no, we're just gonna watch TV and go and sleep.
We're all boring,
Okay.
sorry.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.